Have you ever stopped to think about the people around you? Some of them may be slowly destroying your peace without you even noticing. That's right, destroying it in a slow and silent manner. They disguise themselves as friends, family, or even partners, but in reality, they are like emotional vampires, draining your energy, corroding your self-esteem, and manipulating your feelings. They don't have horns or a tail, but believe me, they are among us. And the worst part is, often, we don't see their true face until it's too late. In this video, I will reveal the 5 types of people who might be sabotaging your life without you realizing. These are people who, bit by bit, erode your confidence, your energy, and even your happiness. They are extremely subtle, and their effects devastating. I'm going to show you how to identify these people and how to protect yourself from them. And before you think, this can't be happening to me, I want you to ask yourself a simple question. How many times have you felt drained, exhausted, or even lost after interacting with certain people? If you've been through this, then this video is for you. Stay until the end, because I will show you exactly how to identify and distance yourself from those who are stealing your peace. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do you know all this? Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Zola Kwame, and like many of you, I've been in situations where the people around me were manipulating me without my knowledge. But before everything, I lived in a world where I believed the key to my protection and strength lay in rituals and spiritual practices. I participated in various beliefs and spiritual practices where it was believed that through rituals, witchcraft, and special prayers, it was possible to control reality and ward off evil forces. For a long time, I sought my security in these teachings, believing that they gave me the strength needed to face life's challenges. However, no matter how deeply I immersed myself in these rituals, there was always something destabilizing me. Something that made me feel like I was in a constant battle against something I couldn't comprehend. It was during this process that I realized something transformative. True strength doesn't lie in external rituals and beliefs. It comes from something much deeper, something that transcends everything I knew up until then. When I understood this, my life changed. Today, I want to share with you how I found this true strength and how it freed me from manipulative and controlling influences around me. In this video, I will show you how you too can identify those people who drain your energy and how to protect your peace and your life. Before we continue, have you subscribed to the channel and turned on notifications? If not, take a moment to do that now so you never miss any content that could change your life. Don't forget to leave a like and let me know where you're watching from in the comments. I love seeing where we're connected from. It's amazing to see how our message reaches hearts from all over the place. The first person you need to learn to identify in your life is the energy vampire. I'm not talking about something mystical, not talking about horror movies. I'm talking about those people who, without you realizing, suck the emotional energy out of you, down to the last trace of it. They are the ones who, when you finish a conversation with them, you feel completely drained, as if you ran a marathon or did a huge physical effort, even though you were sitting down most of the time. And you often find yourself asking, why do I feel like this? What happened? You didn't exert any physical effort. You didn't work that hard. So why do you feel such deep exhaustion? The answer is simple. You've just been drained. And believe me, these people have no idea of the impact they're causing. Have you ever noticed that friend who always calls you, always seeks you out when things aren't going well? At first, you want to help because that's what anyone would do. But then you start to realize that the conversations always revolve around their problems. And when it's your turn to talk, they shift the focus to something about them. Everything becomes about them. Their pain, their problems, their difficulties. And in the end, it seems like only you leave the conversation carrying an enormous weight, while the person who sought you out leaves, as if they had done themselves a huge favor, but offering nothing in return. This is what I call emotional vampirism. And the worst part is that often these people have no idea they're doing this. They simply are. They don't know, but unknowingly, they are leaving you without energy, without motivation, without that life force you had before interacting with them. But there's one thing you need to know. You can fight this. And the best way to combat this kind of person is by being aware of what's happening. Once you start noticing that you're being emotionally drained, the first step is to put a stop to it. It's not about being selfish or not helping anymore. It's about protecting your own energy so you don't lose yourself along the way. Now let's talk about the emotional isolator. This type of person is a master at distancing you from the people who truly care about you, but the worst part is that they do it in such a subtle way that you don't even notice. It starts with small phrases like, "Have you noticed that your sister always gets upset when you talk to her?" Or, "That friend only calls you when they need something, right?" Little by little, these statements create doubt in your mind, and you start questioning your relationships. And then the real manipulation happens. This person begins to convince you that the people around you don't value you as much as they do, and you start believing this. Before you know it, you're isolated from others, feeling guilty for wanting to be with those who have always supported you. And the most dangerous part is that you start to believe that this decision to distance yourself is yours. The emotional isolator won't trap you physically, but they will erode your connections and make you emotionally dependent on them. When this happens, you become more vulnerable without realizing that your peace is being stolen. If you begin to notice this behavior in someone around you, the best thing you can do is rebuild your relationships. Reconnect with those who empower and support you, not with those who manipulate you. Don't let this person isolate you, because your freedom and well-being depend on it. We've now reached the third type of person who could be sabotaging your life in a very dangerous way: the reality disruptor. This type of person is a master at manipulating your perception of everything around you, making you doubt your own mind and your memories. They are experts in gaslighting, a term that means distorting the truth in such a way that you begin to question your own sanity. Imagine that conversation where you're certain something was said, but when you go to confirm with the person, they completely deny it. "I never said that, you must have confused it." Or that promise that never comes true, but in the end, you're the one who seems to be wrong. This behavior can leave you lost, confused, even unable to trust what you know to be true. The worst part is that these people won't just make you doubt the big things, but also the small, everyday things. They'll start making you question your own feelings and perceptions, like you're exaggerating or this is nothing. And when you start doubting your own reality, you lose trust in yourself and your ability to make decisions. But here's the truth you need to understand. These people are not confusing you by accident. They are doing this strategically so that you lose control of your own life and begin to depend on them for everything, even to tell you what is real. If you're feeling confused or lost in any relationship, constantly questioning whether you're right or wrong, it's time to reflect. If you feel like someone is constantly distorting your reality, manipulating your words and actions, it's time to set boundaries and take back control of your mind. We now come to the fourth type of person, and this one is one of the most destructive: the Jekyll and Hyde, or as I like to call it, the person with a split personality. Have you ever encountered someone who suddenly changes completely? From a sweet, caring person who compliments you, makes you feel important, to someone cold, cruel, who belittles you and makes you feel worthless? Well, this person isn't just having a bad day. No, this is much more calculated. This person at first will win you over, draw you in, make you believe you found someone amazing, someone who truly cares about you. They are, most of the time, charming, trustworthy, and you'll feel privileged to have them around. But then, in the blink of an eye, everything changes. They become someone else. The person who adored and complimented you turns into someone who criticizes, humiliates, and makes you feel small. And the strangest part, you don't know what triggered this change. Was it something you did, or did it just happen? This behavior isn't a coincidence, my friend. This sudden change in behavior is a psychological tactic known as love bombing, followed by devaluation. They'll give you the world, and then, in the blink of an eye, take it all away. This creates an emotional dependency in you. You become so desperate to relive the moments of affection and attention that without realizing it, you'll accept abusive behaviors, because you're waiting for that next phase of affection they promised you. But let me tell you something. You can't fall into this trap. No matter how many good moments come between the moments of humiliation, the inconsistency and psychological control are the true signs that this person has bad intentions. You start living under constant anxiety, trying to predict what will happen next. Will it be a wonderful day or a nightmare? This is toxic, and you need to identify this pattern as quickly as possible. Think carefully now. Have you ever had someone in your life who treated you like you were the best thing in the world at one moment and the next made you feel like nothing? If so, that's a big sign you're dealing with a person with a split personality. And we've arrived at the fifth and final type of person, the most devastating of all, the soul thief. This person is dangerous because they will gradually erode your essence, your identity, until you no longer recognize yourself. What these people do is a subtle but relentless manipulation. They won't attack you directly, but they will do everything possible to diminish your self-esteem, your dreams, and even your achievements. These individuals start with small criticisms like, "I don't think this is a good path for you," or "I only say this because I care about you." But over time, these small words accumulate, creating a monster inside you called doubt. Doubt about yourself, your dreams, your choices. You start to question whether you're really capable of achieving what you want, if your ideas are good enough, or if it's worth fighting for your goal. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you've given up on a dream or desire because someone discouraged you? How many times have you felt incapable of achieving something because someone told you you wouldn't be able to? This is the power of the soul thief. They won't directly tell you that you can't, but they will erode your confidence until you believe you can't. And the worst part is, many times they present themselves as saviors. Dean, they criticize you to help you, tell you what you need to change, and make you believe that without them, you'd be nothing. They take credit for your achievements, appropriate your successes, and in the end, you end up feeling lost, not knowing where your identity ends and theirs begins. Now think, how many times has someone made you doubt your own abilities? Has anyone ever minimized your victories and made you believe that without them, you wouldn't have achieved anything? This type of person isn't just a negative influence. They are a silent thief of your self-confidence and personal power. What you need to understand is that you have the power to reclaim your true identity. You don't need this person to feel complete. The first step is to recognize that over time, what you were began to fade in their manipulation, but you can regain everything that was stolen from you. As it says in Matthew 7:15, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves." These words of Jesus warn us that not everything that looks good truly is. Many people enter our lives with good appearances, with seemingly good intentions, but deep down, they are here to manipulate us, control us, or even harm us. They disguise themselves as friends, family, or even people with good intentions, but they are, in reality, wolves in sheep's clothing. When we talk about the types of people who might be hurting you, it's important to keep in mind that the Bible teaches us to be careful, to discern what's happening around us. These people may appear kind with sweet words, but their true intention is to take advantage of you, use your energy, your trust, and even your peace for their own benefit. Our Lord gives us the wisdom to recognize these signs and act with discernment. It's not about distrusting everyone, but being aware of the behaviors that can harm our emotional and spiritual health. Many of these people, like false prophets, start with small manipulations, and little by little, they win our hearts until we feel trapped and vulnerable, not knowing how to escape. That's why it's essential for us to always be in prayer, asking God for clarity to see beyond appearances, that He helps us identify those who are disguising themselves as good, but are actually pulling us away from the peace and trust He offers us. You might be thinking, but how do I know who these people are? The answer is simple. God gives us discernment. If something doesn't feel right, if a relationship is constantly draining your energy, if you feel more confused, isolated, or undervalued, it's time to reflect. Sometimes these people appear so subtly that we only realize the damage once it's already done. That's why it's vital to trust in divine wisdom, in the guidance He gives us to stay protected and live in freedom. Now, as we look at these 5 types of people who might be in our lives, it's important to take a step back and reflect, not hastily, but with care. Sometimes we're so used to the dynamics around us that we fail to notice how certain people are affecting our peace, energy, and even our self-esteem. What I want you to understand with all my heart is that you are not alone in this process of discovery. Each of us faces these situations uniquely, but the good news is that by recognizing these signs, you're already on the path to freedom. God has called us to live in harmony, surrounded by people who truly love us and wish us well. He has given us the wisdom to discern relationships that will build us up and those that may pull us away from who we truly are. Sometimes all we need is a simple inward look, a quiet pause, to realize that our peace is far too precious to be given to those who don't value it. I know that many times it's difficult to make decisions about who to let into or out of our lives. Maybe you're afraid of hurting someone or even of feeling alone. But I want to remind you, with great affection, that you deserve to live surrounded by genuine love and people who add to your life. There's nothing wrong with setting boundaries and distancing yourself from those who don't bring anything good or who, in some way, diminish you. Now, I invite you to reflect for a moment. What kind of person have you been to others? And more importantly, who around you truly contributes to your growth and happiness? Sometimes, the simple act of stopping and evaluating these relationships can bring immense peace. And if today you realize there are people draining or manipulating you, how about starting to gently but firmly distance yourself? God has something much more beautiful prepared for you. Relationships that strengthen you and help you walk toward your purpose. And to strengthen your journey, I'd like to invite you to share something powerful with all of us in the comments. I am worthy of peace and true love. Say this with faith, because by doing so, you will reaffirm to yourself that from this moment on, you choose God's peace and love for your life. By writing this, you not only strengthen yourself, but also inspire others to follow the same path. Additionally, if you've ever been in a situation with people who fit these types, or if you have a story to share about someone who helped you recognize these signs, I'd love to hear from you. Tell us in the comments how you dealt with someone like that, or if you've identified these people in your life. What happened afterward? Sharing your experience could be an important step toward your healing and helping others understand they are not alone on this journey. Stay with God, and I'll see you in the next video.